record. So in case they have lost again, they can join. Okay. Now coming to the harmonies as such, I'll explain about different types of color harmonies. The color harmonies, as I explained initially, it's a mixture of different colors, which basically gives you a perfect amalgamation of colors. Now, this is one example of what is called analogous color harmony. Analogous is a group of colors that lie directly adjacent to one another. There are others. Are they getting admitted?
Yeah.
Usually they are in the.
No, I push them. Moment I get the notification, okay. I push them.
Sure. Okay. So let's start with analogous. This is a perfect example of a tulip on an orange background. It's basically an analogous composition. So here there are three colors: the orange, the red, and the yellow. These are three analogous colors which are adjacent to one another. On a color wheel, they are adjacent to one another. So there is a combination of these three colors which directly adjacent to each other on a color wheel. So this group of colors can have a limited spread to 2 colors. It can spread further to 4 or 5 colors, but in this case, it's 3 colors. So I'll give you one more example. This is a complementary color. So there is a green flower bush against a purple magenta background. So it's basically complementary colors. These two colors are on the opposite side of the wheel. So when this color harmony is comprised of two colors that lie exactly directly across each other of a color wheel, and then it's called a complementary colors. We'll go through that in detail. You can also play around with hues. If you can notice, behind this rose, there are two different colors. Two different hues are there of the same rose. So the rose is of a different hue. So this is where you are using the same hues, but then differentiating it into a very, very small this thing. This becomes almost what we call as a monochromatic color. So a single color, the color of the background and the color of the subject, both are of within that same color range. And that's why it's called monochromatic color. Here the same tulip, but on a different background, on a blue background. So this is called a triad of colors. The triad of colors is basically combination of three colors which are equally spaced from each other on the colors. So this harmony is very similar to another one which is called a split complementary colors, which many of the landscape photographers use. So let me give you some example. How do you get these colors? How do you get this color wheel? How do you find out exactly what color wheels you are choosing? Now, best source I find is 18th century, mid 18th century painter, Albert Bernstein. He he painted American landscape in such a beautiful way. So some of his examples are the best if you want to learn about different type of color combinations. So this is like studying classical music, similar to that. You go to his website. This is the website, Albert Bernstein. You can download those pictures. And then there is one more site which you should visit. That is from Adobe. You don't need to have any Adobe software to access it. You can just go into the browse, color.adobe.com. Once upon a time, it used to be called Cooler, Kuler. Now they changed it to COLOR. So color. Let me go to that website and let me do some live work. This is the website. One minute, let me share it. this is the website, color.adobe.com. And if you sign in the sense, if you are already a Adobe either a Lightroom or a Photoshop member, you can sign in. The advantage what it does is you can create swatches which you can save it in the cloud, so you can reuse it in your pictures. So let's say that you want to incorporate some of the pictures and get these different settings. All you have to do is import it and then use it. I'll explain you how to do that in the, after 2 more presentations. Okay, here. So this is one of the samples from the same site, the Albert Bastet, one of the sunset sites. And I wanted to show you how analogous color harmony works using the Adobe Color CC website, the color.adobe.com. That's it. So when you import it, it will pick up 5 points from the picture, and then it will show you in a graph. So these are all the colors which he has used. So you can note all the colors are together. In the color wheel, they are all together. So that is a perfect example of analogous color harmony. If you want to remember, analogous color harmony is a group of colors that lie directly adjacent to one another on a color wheel. See, all the colors are adjacent here on the color wheel. And this group of colors can have a limited spread of just 2 colors. And in this case, there are all 5 colors which are very adjacent to one another. Next, we'll go to a complementary colors. So what is a complementary color harmony? The complementary color harmony is, see, the blue is the main color here. So he has used blue as his base color. And then all other colors which you have used are on the opposite side of the spectrum. See these colors, all the greens, yellows, not a greens, yellows and amber colors. These are all on the opposite side of the spectrum. He has also used blues again into different shades of blacks so that he can enhance the colors. But other than that, the 5 colors what he has is blues, and these are the opposite colors, the complementary colors. So a complementary color harmony comprises of 2 or more colors that lie directly across each other on the color wheel. So on the color wheel, they are across each other. So the spread of colors on either side can be increased to a degree, include more colors on either end. The common complementary schemes found in nature is that in a warm cool combination, in this case, see there is a cool dark combination as well as warm combination. So that is how complementary colors are. Take this third one, which is what is called a triadic combination. This is a very common one. So it combines 3 colors which are equally spaced from each other. 1, 2, and 3. 3 colors are there. They are spaced each other from each other. And that's why, see, the greenish here, the blues are here, and the orange and amber are here. So that's how it divides 3 different colors and gives you that triadic type of look. So this is a slightly complicated color harmony, but it gives you a very dramatic effect.
Not better than a photo camera capture.
No, I'm going to show you how the photo capture also does. I'm showing you a few of my landscape photographs which follow all these rules next. So I'm just giving you, because these are the classic examples. These are easy to show. And this one is a quadratic. There are four colors, which are 4 part of the color wheel. Okay, combining 4 colors that can have a rectangular spatial relationship of the color wheel. offered, referred as a double complementary or quadratic or a square combination. So this is another harmony which is used. And there is one more which is called a split complementary. This takes two colors which are, see, this is different from a complementary. Complementary would have been the color which was just directly opposite to the blue. But in this case, what he uses is not that amber color, but he uses orange as well as yellow. So using those two colors, you get what is called a split complementary colors. So this is by taking a two color which lie directly adjacent to one another in a complementary color harmony. You get a split complementary. It's more difficult to harmonize and utilize these colors than complementary colors, but it gives you a fantastic results. Now let's go into the website and extract one of the photos which I have used. I'm doing this live, so you will exactly get the feel what you can do with this particular picture. So let's say, well, let me start with this picture. This was taken from one minute. This is the recent Iceland trip. The first day we had a waterfall, and this was the picture taken during the late evening. So once you import this picture into color.adobe.com, it automatically analyzes the different 5 pictures, and if you want you can change it, but let me just leave it as it is and see what type of harmony it uses. So if you go under the color wheel, and it will show you what do you think this is? This is the analogous one, because all of them are in the same part of the color wheel. So all the shades are in the same part of the color wheel. So I have used this the color theme. Not that you can really change. Remember, at this point I should state strict adherence to the color harmonies in photography is not entirely necessary. Finding a perfect color harmony in nature is rarely easy unless you are a painter. So it is not even possible to get that sort of exact color harmony where things all fall across the color wheel. Nature is chaotic, and the color what we find is presented to us, and we don't create it. So that's how you capture something which is analogous. At the same time, the light changed, and we got a dramatic lighting soon after that. So let me get another picture into the color.adobe.com. This was afterwards. Here what I did was, because there was a dramatic change in color, what I could do was use a panorama. This is how I stitch a panorama. And the colors are basically complementary colors now. From analogous, I shifted to complementary colors. And if you go under the color wheel, see what has happened. It's complementary colors. The blues are there, and then there is a brown and dark brown. So I used both of them because the grass was greenish brownish, and the sky was brilliantly blue and purple magenta. This was blue hour, which was just starting there. So that's how it is. To a certain extent, I have enhanced it. This was not exactly how it was feeling there, but it was very close to it. Now let me take one more picture and show you a different type of feel. This was waterfall. Again, used complementary colors. The interior of the waterfall was different. The exterior was different. And if you go under the color wheel, it is a split complementary color. It's basically not a complementary, but it's a split complementary color. So instead of just exactly opposite, you have two things which are adjacent to one another. So this was a split complementary colors. Now I'll show you one more, since time is limited. So let me do it fast. So this one where there are brilliant colors here. Let me choose the color. Sometimes, it doesn't really choose a correct color. This is the problem with the. So this was my attempt to make it as a quadratic, but it didn't work out correctly. I wanted to have a colorful, multiple colored picture, but the nature is such that those are brilliant colors and they are there in nature. We can't really recreate them, but I got something very close to that. And the last one is this one. This is again a complementary. So the sky was different, the lighthouse was different. So this is basically it used the complementary colors. So that's how. Now remember, this is how you can judge a particular color in the color wheel. But what if you want to change the color? What if you want to change the color from one color to different color? So let me open up Photoshop, and I'll show you exactly how to change a color using one of the examples. So that's my Photoshop there. Okay, this is my Photoshop. Okay, so this is what I'm going to use today to show you how to change the colors. So basically, I want to change the color into a different combination. So this is not really a complementary color. So how do I know that it is not a complementary color? So inside Photoshop, there is another color theme, which is exactly same thing which came from Adobe. So this is exactly the Adobe color.adobe.com, but it is incorporated inside the Photoshop. So all you have to do is you have to go under Windows. Under that, you have to go to Extension and then choose Adobe Color Themes. So now I want to check whether this blue really is a complementary color or a different color. So let me go here, choose this blue color. So this is my foreground color. So when it's in the foreground color, if you choose this, select the color from the foreground, what it does is it attaches that particular color and then gives you what type of shades you want. Now in this case, what I want to do is I want his red shirt to be exactly complemented by the wall. I want to change the color of the wall. I don't want to change his red shirt. So what I'll do is I'll first pick his red color t-shirt. Then I'll use this particular, see, so it will give me these are all the colors it is showing of analogous. So what I want is complementary. That means I want just the opposite of his red. So opposite of his red is the green. The wall is blue, but I want to make it green. So how do you make a wall green? So what I can do is I can change the foreground color to background color. So now his red is in the background color, and I can replace this particular color as a foreground color. So here is another thing, adding the click to set active color. So the active color becomes the foreground color. So now the foreground color is what I want to change this wall to. So there is an easy way of doing it. That is, you add another layer of solid color. And what solid color does is it takes the foreground color and becomes that particular solid color. See? Okay, so I have created a solid color adjustment on top of the subject. But unfortunately, that solid color is so solid that it hides my subject. So what I need to do is I have to change the blend mode. So one way of changing the blend mode is going all the way there and change it to color. So when I change it to color, what happens is everything gets changed, and even his skin also, his t-shirt also, everything gets changed. So now what I need to do is I have to create a mask. So first I want to create a mask of him so that I can isolate him from the background. So easy to create a mask. In this case, it's a color selection. So all I have to do is select the background. Okay, don't select this green color, select the background. Go all the way into select color range. So once you are in the color range dialog box, so you have three pickers. So first pick the color. That is, I'm picking the blue color. Remember, this color is not relevant because my area where I'm working is basically the lower layer. So this is the color. And then I use the add to the sample color and then keep on clicking until, now this is where I went too much over. So now he's also, so I have to go back here, just click the color and then use the plus marker so that I can just click areas where only he is selected. He is not selected, only the background is selected. So if I made a mistake, I can remove some of him. One minute. It's better if you do it without his layer selected so that it becomes easier. I'll start again. So go to select, choose color range, choose the picker card, pick the blue color. Okay, then use the plus marker and make sure that it's localized color change because it is not going to select anything from him. It's only going to select the background. So now as I drag this white, add to the selection slider, so the selection gets added. It's not a perfect selection, but almost perfect. Later you can make it perfect using a brush. So now it's selected. Now I have to go to the, so the selection is there. Now go to the mask
enable the layer.
Yeah, you have to enable the layer. Okay, I'll enable the layer. Now Control and I. So now it's become the reverse. So now I have to deselect it and Control I. So he is selected and the background is now green. You can you can adjust this selection by again you're doing the brush, but I'm not going to do it. So what I have basically done is this is not a Photoshop tutorial. In fact, if you get confused, there is a tutorial which I link. It is done by Flern, RNS from Fern. He has a free tutorial on YouTube which does exactly the same thing along with the this particular color wheel. So you can use that to train yourself. So this is basically the idea of changing the background to suit your needs. So if you have any questions, let me know. Now the question is, when we are taking a photo, do we keep all this in mind, like color combination, knowledge of all this used only during post-processing? No, I take photo at that time. I think, okay, how I can improve on that particular photo. So obviously this whole information is there right at the time of taking, and it will influence me what to use my foreground, what to use my background, how should I compose, what shutter speed I should keep, overexpose? Should I underexpose? All those parameters really tell me. This happens about 90% of the time. The rest of the 10% of the time, it is more of impulsive photography. And most of the time, I see that all my impulsive photographs don't really give a great result. I think it's better to think, pause, wait, and then take photograph. I think it should be a great idea. If you have any questions, please do ask.
You should implement lockdown before you press the shutter.
Yes.
Doc, is it really practical? Because I understand complementary colors. I mean, I understand adjacent colors, but when I view the image, I don't see that colors. I mean, because I'm a bit of a painter, and my wife is exceptional painter. I do understand the complementing colors and analogous colors. Okay, which are adjacent and which are across each other. This is the two combination which is normally used. But when I look into from the view, from the camera view, I actually don't see it. I mean, honestly speaking, I mean, thinking back now.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree. I suggest if you are into landscape photography, I think it's worth trying to implement this. In landscape photography, there are few advantages. It is not photography which is done in a hurry. You have to keep your camera in a tripod. You have to find a place. You have to go there in a particular point of time, which is useful. And you are waiting for that particular moment of, perfect lighting, perfect background, and all those things. That's why I suggest for a landscape photography, it's really worth it. For all other type of photography, for example, a sports photography or something in the street, I don't think you can do all these things. If you are able to do it, it's well and good. Otherwise, I think it may not be that much painstakingly. You need not do it. Now, there is one more question from Venkat. Can the similar be done in LR? In Lightroom, you can do to a certain extent, but not up to this level. And most of the time, it's a guesswork than doing it this way. You can use your HSL slider in Lightroom, but unfortunately, HSL slider in Lightroom is a global adjustment. It's not going to do selective adjustment. So in that same picture, if I had gone through Lightroom to do the color change, I will change everything, including his face and his dress also will be green. So it's not really worth it. Will it be accepted for awards? Those awards where you are allowed to do manipulation, those it will accept. Those salons which does not allow you to touch, they won't accept it. I'm more into a collection of photographs for only my sake. To be frank, trigger happy and photographers, any easy method to do this? This is an old question. I think we'll discuss this next to the webinar, not now. Any other question related to color theory?
Doc, one more from your example which you had given, changing the background to black. That adds what? I mean, what is the?
Okay, if I change this to black, that basically makes you like this is how it is. So let me just change it here. So this is what really happens. Roughly 1 minute. Let me show you. Let me share you that picture. Unfortunately, I did that without sharing. So this is how I changed it to black. So this is basically just to make it stand out from the background, or make the person look as though he's in front of a blackboard, or it's a dark scene you want to show it. So something similar to that. But other than that, there is not much of use. But if you want to select the person out of that particular context, say for example, macro photography. Most of the macro photography, people also use a background, basically to show the subject out. So it makes the subject stand out. So that's the advantage of using black. Give me a suggestion of a next webinar. There is about 8 minutes left. 7 minutes, sorry. Rashmi, you joined late, no problem. We have a recording ready, so you can go through the pictures. I didn't cover the color theory in movies. Movies definitely use these color harmonies to a great extent. The trilogy of Batman, I don't get the name. It's the Batman series. It's a three series. I don't get that particular name, but that's the one which you just go and watch. That's probably the Dark Knight series, correct? Yeah, the Dark Knight series. Thanks, Ajit. That's the one which gives you a fantastic topics for future sessions: analyzing and reviewing the images. Ajit Kamas says indexing a picture. He's into Lightroom. He's still trying to index his millions of photographs which he has. No, COVID-19, no. There's too much of bombardment of COVID-19. I don't want to waste time on COVID-19 again. All you have to do is just open any social media, you'll get COVID-19 information. What do you personally think of photos that are made black and white? Definitely they are the best of the lot. In fact, the color is the one which distracts quite a lot. And because it distracts, you need to have these sort of a color harmonies to make this color looks or sounds better. It's a personal feeling. Since you don't like it, fine. It's fine. I started my career in black and white in film photography. Maybe that's the reason why I'm so addicted to black and white. But unfortunately, once the digital camera came, we all became color addicts. So we still keep doing it. That's not what she's asking. What do you personally think of photos that are made black and white and one subject made in color? Oh yeah. Sorry. That's a cliche subject. Please don't do that. This is done by several wedding photographers. That's probably a very bad idea. In real life, there is no such thing as everything black and white and only one thing standing out in a selective color. That's pretty bad. And personally, I feel nauseating whenever I see that sort of pictures. I think we have to wind up. How much of time left? I think 4 minutes. If you have any questions, yeah, there are 4 minutes left.
Future topics: analyzing, reviewing the images.
Yeah, future topic: analyzing and reviewing the images. What I can do is, if you can give me your images, I'll invite you to send one image of yours. We can do, or if you want, I can do a reviewing of my own images. But I feel I'll send some of the links for this particular picture. Sorry, not this particular picture, this particular topic today, about the color theories. I'll send some of the reading materials after the talk. I'll share it both in our Creative Focus as well as TGIS. So anybody who wants can go through those materials. Miniature photography, it's more of a practical session. Probably if I'm able to get a camera arranged, not this laptop camera, I think we'll be able to do a recording. All the recordings are already put in the Rohit. I think all the older recordings are already there. All the 3 webinars we have recordings. You can go through them.
I'll share the channel link.
Yeah. I'll send you some of the reading materials about color theory. Something which I went through, some of the websites which I went through to prepare this particular workshop. So we can have a sort of a review session. Thank you, Rashmi.
Thanks, Doc. I think good session.
I think we'll call it. Yeah,
Very
one
was
minute,
little difficult to understand, but then really don't know whether
yeah,
I should call.
It's a tough topic. I think you go through again, once again, review it, go through many times. I missed quite a few others who didn't attend this particular session. Probably Monday was a bad day. I think we should stick to Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thanks again.
Thank you.
I'll close the meeting. Yeah.
Okay.